Broadcasting live from the Free Speech Studios. Deep within the city of Fantom. With over 4 years of satisfying the curious mind and looking damn sexy while doing it. Ladies and gentlemen, Fantom Facts Society.
Happy Hump Day.
Happy Hump Day.
You have made it to the promised show. Just past the Jordan. Taking a little far there. Still emotion. The Tom McDonald song gets me.
That's a great song. Fantastic song.
And the fact that he allows us and anyone to just replay that copyright free, because I mean, if we made money off of it, I think he would take a piece. But since we make no money off of it, he just lets us do it.
He's like, "This is yours. Share it."
and there's only one other artist that I know that is extremely popular that does that. It's not Eminem. It's not Ariana Grande. It's the legendary Afro Man.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Afro Man lets you just crank that stuff out.
Afro Man build a whole show on that. Afro Man and Tom McDonald.
This was going to be a serious show, but our beloved Spike Cohen has a virus, and I informed him that we've just discovered there are no such things as viruses, but he didn't believe me. So,
tiny kisses, big hugs, still Spike.
Listen, this guy. We do have a Spike update, though. Because when we and I don't know, should we get the Spike up? Because I feel people, we advertised it pretty hard today. An old Spikey was coming on, and I get that sickness befalls us all.
Maybe he became sick knowing that he was going to have to perform.
Maybe he became sick knowing that he was going to have to come on this show. It's possible.
Like, that's a lot of weight. I'm not ready for those two.
Can't do this. Yeah. Well, okay. So last time we had talked to Spike Cohen, he had talked about, I think it was the Hernandez family. He started off with one of these families in Georgia. It was just a ridiculous case. So play a little bit of that.
The district attorney and assistant district attorney in the Hernandez case are Penny A. Penn is the district attorney.
That's right, Penny Penn.
And
I remember that. We've written
and
Penny
Penn. Caroline Yee is the assistant district attorney. I can't say who the prosecutor is. There is no prosecutor because there's no trial and there's no indictment. They haven't actually been indicted. They haven't gone to there's been no trial for this. There's just this pending case that they hold over their heads, which is what the family court uses as justification to take the children.
How can they do this? I'm sorry, but this is a violation of your right to face your accuser.
All right, so just, Spike Cohen and a lot of other people that were working with Spike Cohen never had heard of, family court. It sounds so nice, doesn't it, May? Family court? Yeah, it's got a nice ring to it.
Pleasant, just justice for all.
It's for the family. It's for the family. So essentially, this case, what happens? Well, play a little bit more of it.
They're doing that in a family court, which has a completely different standard of evidence and discovery and everything else. It's all but arbitrary in most states. It's essentially operating as like this sort of unconstitutional administrative tribunal. And so what happens is the courts argue, the family courts argue, well, we're not punishing them. we're not, that's reserved for the criminal courts. We're not punishing them. We're just deciding if the children are safe or not. Well, but you're taking the children, and any loving parent, if you said, hey, would you rather do 5 years in prison or never see your kids again, there's no contest which one they would choose, right? And so the problem is, if there's an exigent circumstance where the child must be taken, and then we'll figure out later if there's enough evidence to keep the child, okay, fine, but there needs to be a time limit, like a matter of hours.
All right. So that's I think this was about a year ago he recorded. I apologize to the female podcaster interviewing much better audio quality than us, but thank you for getting that information out of him, because that sort of I thought was a great way to set up what old Spike had been going through. Well, after a year, and this is a big deal, and we'll talk about this next week, but this is the update from last week in Georgia after fighting these family court.
With me, he's a good dude. Like this guy a lot.
Is the Shelley and Winter show, or the Shelley Winter show?
Yeah.
In Georgia, there.
Who do you think Shelley and who do you think Winter is?
I'm going to say Winter is black and Shelley is white.
Yep. Okay.
Am I right?
That's what I was going with.
Well, you need to Google this while we feel free to put it in the comments, people. Which one is Shelley? Which one's Winter? Winter with a Y, though. Winter with a Y. God damn it. No, you could be pretentious enough as a white person to get away with that. It's like comes from some Dutch-German mixture of marriage.
He's been on several times on the Shelley Winter Show. He's a former candidate for vice president for the Libertarian Party, and he's now the founder and president of You Are the Power. Welcome to the show, Spike Cohen. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Shelley.
So tell us what is You Are the Power? What is that organization? What do you guys do?
Yeah, so at You Are the Power, we find people that are being abused by out of control local government officials, and we.
First of all, I just want to say, whenever I think I can just tackle a subject in such beautiful clarity, and then I watch Spike destroy the entire Georgia family court system in 7 minutes, I get a little jealous.
Explain that. Abuse, because we all abused by local abuse.
So perfect. In fact, we'll be talking about this in a bit, but people that are having their children taken from them by out of control CPS officials, people that are having their homes stolen by out of control local government officials, people that are having their grandparents taken out of their house, people that have been wrongfully arrested and abused, police officers refusing to release body cam footage when they've done something wrong. Any of these cases of things, especially at the local level, when we find out, we alert the public, we apply, we find these specific, instead of just blaming it on the city government,
right,
we find these specific individuals involved in it, we get their direct contact information, and we apply massive amounts of public pressure to get them to back off and do the right thing. And we have a roughly 100% success rate.
So tell me an example, because people listening now, they're like thinking, okay, well, when does that ever happen, right? Yeah. There's some people that are just so far removed from local government and some of the abuses of local government that they don't recognize that it's happening right in their own neighborhood. So give me an example of something you're working on now.
They're very blessed not to have to deal with that. Right now, what we're dealing with here in Georgia, earlier today, we were at the state capitol where we watched a first screening of the documentary Help That Harms, which Rebecca Lindstrom did with 11 Alive. And what it's about is parents who take their children that have medical conditions, they take their children to the usually CHOA or some other children's hospital, and they get accused of abuse with not only no evidence of abuse, but evidence that the child's injuries are caused by their health condition. They have their children taken from them. They're often told they're not allowed to speak with their spouse until further notice.
All right, we'll just pause it right there because he's hitting on a huge wing of CPS that backs up their argument, and that is the medical community. Not, I don't mean to say it like that. It's, and I'd love to have someone in that sphere explain it better to me. But my assumption and how I've observed it and the connections is they either have to report what they think is, or, I'm not for sure, but Spike does go into it, but I just want to give an example. There's one that just popped up. I think it was today or yesterday.
You're going to force me to put my kid on ADHD medicine, or else you're going to call CPS on me?
Let's be real. I never said anything about forcing you. I'm saying this is what's recommended for your kid. You have to put your kid on these meds. Like, it's best for your kid. I'm trying to do you a favor. Not even do you a favor. Do what's best for your child. And if you don't follow these instructions, ma'am, I will be forced to call CPS.
So you are forcing me. You're saying either I put my kid on medication that they don't need.
I will be forced to call CPS. What you're doing right now is jeopardizing your kid, jeopardizing your kid's future. I'm not trying to sit here and argue with you. I'm not debating with you. I'm the doctor, so I'm telling you what's best for you and your kid.
But I don't understand, because my child has not shown any symptoms of ADHD, and I'm asking if I can get a second opinion. And you're
okay. So this is what's going on, and I see this happen in a lot of like free clinics or clinics designed for low income.
Yeah, because they think nobody will push back. They'll just, if they don't push back, who's winning? Big Pharma? You're drugging up all these kids, get all these kids all whacked and dependent on all this medicine when, most of the time they don't need it. I mean.
Well, and I feel bad because, I was really, in my mind, I feel like I was really blaming the parents for not standing up in these situations. But if you're a 20-something-year-old and you don't know, I mean, obviously she knows.
Yep.
But just to have that said to you, how are you going to fight that?
Yeah.
And they face never seeing their kids again. They're not allowed to see the medical evidence for their children. And the reason this is happening is because all of these, the child abuse pediatrics department, the caseworkers for defects, the family courts, all of them rely on the funding they get when they say that there are all these abuse cases. So there's a financial incentive for them to basically take children from innocent people.
And then is there any, because I know, I think at the ground level, right, the nurse, the case manager, right, I think in many cases, do you think that they may be sometime overreacting because they don't want a child to slip through the cracks?
Well, this is the problem. So there's only a disincentive to not call it abuse. So if they say it's not abuse and it turns out to be abuse, they're going to be in trouble. They're right. Probably going to get fired. But if they call it abuse and it turns out not to be abuse, they got additional funding.
Okay.
There's no disincentive. There's only, it's,
so I see what you're saying. You don't get fired for saying it's abuse and it's not abuse.
Yes. And, and what they're doing is they're getting federal funding from the Social Security Administration every time they're calling it abuse. So you subsidize apples, you get more apples.
Right.
Our government is subsidizing abuse allegations. So we're getting a bunch of them even when there's no abuse present. And
government.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something? And it's to the tune of almost in the state of Iowa. It's over 4,000.
Really?
It's over 4,000 a month per kid that you get.
I mean, it just goes into everything. Just like, with that, you call it abuse. Oh, we're going to give you more funding. Just with the jabby jab, you called everything related to that, more funding, more, this and that. So that's just
weird form of
shitty how that works. Yeah.
And I'll give you, so how I remember unfolding in my community was there was a girl in 2002, it might have been 2000, 3-year-old named Shelby Dewis. And, the mother and the boyfriend, who was not the father, was abusing her while doing drugs. And they went, I think, a doctor or the school nurse or someone in the medical field looked at her and reported it, and nothing was done. Or man, I'll have to remember fresh up. It's either he reported it and nothing was done, or he didn't report it. Either way, what happened is she died a few weeks later. And the reason I remember it is because I think I was like 12 or 11, 13 when it happened. And they built a park there called the Shelby Dewis Park there in Spirit Lake. And after that point, it was sort of like a green light. Like if you got a whiff of child abuse, you report it. And that, in its sense, I mean, that's helpful, right? Like we want safe kids everywhere.
There's that line though, or that, you know, where it was, you take that case right there that you said, you know, so now it's, they did nothing and death came. So now it's, let's push the button every single time. And just in case, because we can't have another situation like that happen, but then it gets blurred and buried and you can't even see the line anymore. And everybody's just running to the abuse right off the bat. Now it's gotten so serious where, you know, they're taking your kids as hostage or, you know, not letting them see them. And then you gotta come up with this miracle list of fucking check boxes you got to mark to even get a chance, to even get 5 minutes with some fucking CPS officer in the room with you. I mean, it's, you know, it's they went overboard to an extent. You know, you got to find that fine medium.
Heartstrings, right? Because it's, we all want, we don't want any kid to die from abuse, but at the same time, you know, you're destroying whole families in the process, and there's no repercussion for being wrong. You know, like for an umpire. Yeah, that's, you know, we like, there's got to be a middle ground here where we meet with the state and we understand each other, and that middle ground is, hey, if you know, if you're if you're an umpire calling a baseball game and your balls and strikes are 90% wrong, then you need to be removed as an umpire from the baseball game. If you are playing gatekeeper with cases, you know, because that's what I noticed happen in our small county, was it became a bunch of old ladies from the late 90s that were running it. And they were the gatekeepers of the community. You know, they went and just snooped around. They, you know, just snooped around, just curious clucking hens. And so that can't be right either. Anyway, a little more Spike.
And it's bad enough to look at that on the outset and say, "Oh, this is terrible. What a waste of taxpayer money." Families are literally being destroyed. Imagine never seeing your kids again because one of them has a connective tissue disorder or an autoimmune disorder, and they go in with a sickness, and you never see them again. They're taken from you. You have a criminal record. You're put on a list. You're not able to get a job as a teacher. You're not allowed to talk to your spouse ever again. And you know the whole time you did nothing wrong.
And this happens. This happened in Georgia.
This happens a lot.
A lot.
When Rebecca was looking, we're working directly with 6 families. When Rebecca tried to find
6 families right now.
6 families publicly, and other ones that didn't want to come forward publicly, but we're still helping them. When Rebecca came up with her documentary, she was hoping to find 2 or 3 families. Within a matter of hours, she found 24.
Wow. Here in Georgia.
Here in Georgia.
What are some of the stats? I'm going to go to you, say who you are and everything, but I want to go to you with some of the stats on what Spike's talking about.
Yeah, my name's Ryan Ralston. I'm the volunteer director with You Are the Power, and I helped lead the team here in Georgia that really led to the uncovering of these allegations, or these false allegations on the child abuse. So one of the things that we've been able to find is the child abuse pediatrician, right? The child abuse pediatrician typically takes anywhere between an hour to 4 hours to diagnose abuse, when you have experts who are going to combat that have spent 20, 30, 40, 50 hours saying that this is not abuse. And so really what it boils down to in a court is a matter of experts. And so that's really one of the things that is troubling for us, because these cases in Georgia, they're heard in juvenile court.
Right.
And so the burden of proof in juvenile court is a lot lower than what you see in superior court or state court, right? So it's not proof beyond reasonable doubt. It's clear and convincing evidence, which is a lower standard.
Right. And clear and convincing evidence can be.
Do people understand this? Like, I don't think people understand. There is a court that operates parallel to the constitutional court we all believe in, the Republic. There's a parallel court operating where it doesn't require evidence, or it doesn't require proof of evidence. You know, you just. So
that's hard. That you go in there, know you're going to lose. You know, when you don't have to bring facts and evidence to the table. Like,
I remember thinking at one point, well, like, wow, I can just we can just take this to a jury. You're like, no, there's no jury.
Yeah.
There's no jury to bail you out.
Provided by the child abuse pediatrician.
Correct. That's right.
And often with the judge choosing to ignore the medical professional. So we had a case with the Hernandez family where the Hernandez family had multiple medical professionals, specialists who were saying this child has a chronic health condition. The judge ignored that evidence and instead listened to the child abuse pediatrician. And their evidence was, yeah, most of the time when you look at cases like this, statistically, it tends to be abuse. And when the Hernandez family's attorney asked that doctor for the source of that statistic, he said, yeah, you could look it up on the internet.
Wow.
That's
and the judge still ruled in
the judge ruled in their favor.
And
in the state's favor.
So where's that kid now? Is he not with his parents?
Well, after You Are the Power started having thousands of people contacting everyone involved, the judge inexplicably did a complete 180, closed out their case, and now that those children are back with family. Now we're still trying to get their criminal charges dropped.
Right.
No indictment has happened, of course, because the moment there's an indictment, there has to be discovery. And the discovery would show very quickly there's no evidence.
Right.
And so we're pushing to get those charges dropped so that this whole thing can be gone.
This is unbelievable that this is happening anywhere. I want you're here.
And when we talk to Spike, I think we'll be able to confirm with him it is happening everywhere in the United States. This is everywhere. I mean, like he said, I went the last 2 days looking for stories and have found 4.
Yeah, and that interview that podcast we played earlier, I believe she mentioned there was like a pediatrician or something. Someone has had their license removed several times in different states and ended up like, I don't know if it was in Georgia or where she ended up, but she just kept doing the same old playbook. What cost her license, and I don't remember the 2 states that she was in, but I found that super fascinating that they just let these people just recycle through. It's either we're letting them recycle through because we don't have anybody to fill their shoes or what's going on. But when you have someone have 2 strikes against them, I think in that kind of field, and you just want to throw around abuse and neglect and all this all the time, like that's your go-to, and you're wrong, like you said with the umpire thing, it's time to sit the bench. Fucking, you're going to be forcibly retired because you aren't causing any good.
And this is all this really is my mic's going in and out.
Yeah, it was. You've been okay for a couple of minutes now, but yeah, earlier it sounded like you were underwater.
Oh no, that's awful. Okay, it's good now though, right?
Yep.
Good. All right. No, I was. And sometimes it's when the video's playing and I talk too. It like resets it weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, no. Just bear with me, people. I apologize. No, I was. This is just a matter of you've understood this system. I didn't realize you had understood it and went through a similar system. May I've gone through the system. I think we're beginning to see a lot of people of this generation of parenting have gone through this system, or at least knows one or more people that have gone through this system at one point in their parenthood, and these stories are a lot more common, and it's just about getting it out. And the beautiful thing about what Spike has done here in Georgia is not only has he gotten the story out, not only has he reunited the family, but let this.
With You Are the Power, you just talked about medical issues with kids and parents losing access to their children and custody and stuff. What are some other things that you guys work on? And then I want to ask that other question.
Yeah, so a few days ago, we had an incident where a police officer, a sergeant in Longview, Texas, walked up to a homeless man who was backing away from him immediately, and it's all on video, pepper sprayed him and then assaulted him and arrested him for resisting arrest. And it happened in front of a group called One Love Longview, who helps the homeless population in that area. And the police go there and harass homeless people ostensibly for fun. And anyway, we got him to resign. So that's a case that we worked on recently. We had another one in Surprise, Arizona. A lady named Rebecca Massey showed up to call out her city council for a lot of corrupt things they were doing. They responded by having her arrested during public comment, which she had every right to speak.
Right, of course.
We helped to get those charges dropped. The mayor resigned. The city attorney resigned. Rebecca is now on the warpath in her city, and she's actually now one of our regional organizers for You Are the Power. So these are the kinds of things we do across the country. But the common thread with all of them is this: when government officials choose to treat us as something other than a human being, they're treating us as an obstacle. They're treating us as a political opportunity. They're treating us as a way to take our children to get funding. Whenever they stop respecting us as individual human beings, we step in and we fight until we get the respect we deserve.
That's You Are the Power. If anybody wants to get more information, where do they go?
Go to youarethepower.net. You can become a member today. We are on social media. It's very easy to find us if you look for You Are the Power. We're all over social media, but our website is youarethepower.net. And we are I was the former Libertarian candidate. We are a nonpartisan organization.
Right.
I don't care what party you're in. I don't care anything about that. If you want to demand respect as a human being, join us.
At the local level.
At the local and state level, yes.
Yeah. Spike Cohen, give that website again.
The website is youarethepower.net. And if you want to be a part of the solution, we don't complain. We don't just create heat. We apply it, it becomes a laser, and we get work done.
My man.
The Jewish laser.
Yes, the Jewish laser.
Listen, man, that directed energy weapon is much needed because and it's the only organization I've seen consistently get stuff done. Because we always hear at the national level, but it doesn't really make a difference unless you're doing it at your local level. Yeah, that's his specialty, And even if you don't, even if you've got nothing going on, there may come a time 20 years from now when you're on your own property and you decide that your aging parents need a place to live, and the city council passes a law banning it after you've built it. They take care of that too. That type of bullying is unacceptable.
Yep.
So Spike Cohen, why Lobo Fish? How's it going?
We're gonna send out the links to call in a little while.
Well, we'll send out links for sure. Actually, I can get one sent out now. Yeah. If you got comments on I know you're in New Mexico. I'm sure the totalitarian rule of New Mexico. Let's see here. We'll put it in the comments. Anyone that wants to call in, you're more than welcome to call in. Lobo's a fan favorite, so if we
do need to ask him about his YouTube avatar.
I think we'll leave it mysterious. Do we really want to know? What is it? Is it Sasquatch?
I don't know.
We'll have to check that out.
Like a hippie Sasquatch with a bandana.
Lobo Fish joining us on Wednesday. Welcome, buddy. Gotta do our mic check. Mic check.
Check.
Wait, you don't have a bandana and long red hair?
Yeah, I'm bald.
Yeah. Yes. What's the YouTube avatar?
That is it's an NFT. That's the only one in the world.
Oh.
Or you could take a screenshot of it. They were years ago. It was when everybody was buying NFTs, and that was there was like 10,000 of those things made, and I think it was like a veteran or something that started it, and I think I bought that for like $12 or something. And anyways, I started using it, and now I kind of it's a security thing. When I'm signed into stuff, it'll have that on there, and I'll know I'm in the right account or something, But,
perfect.
Yeah. So if you guys just drop your, I have some other ones in my wallet. I'll send you your own Sasquatch if you just send me your Ethereum. Wow. Yeah, it's like the Squatch Nation or something.
We should have done Fantom Facts Society NFTs.
Well, that's the thing. If we got to get Devin on here because he's smart with these things, because
he is the NFT man.
With anybody with a little bit of money, you could buy those.
I tell you what, he'd be happy to tell you all about it too for the next 2 hours.
Well, picture you could buy the rights to them now, and then you got to have one to I don't know, get in some country club or something. I don't know what we could do.
It was we'll just we'll buy up the politicians and Tom Hanks's properties.
Oh, geez.
You know, and just
yeah. I listened in for about 10 minutes before and I caught that CPS thing, and it reminded me, man, I'm so glad because I can kind of see this pitfall that could happen here, because I have 3 kids. My oldest is in his 20s, but when he was little, he broke his arm one night with my wife, who's a teacher. She was out with her friends, you know, and we didn't know it was broken. He just had fallen, and he slept that night. He was cranky, and in the morning it had swollen up, so we knew his arm was screwed up. So my wife took him, you know, something tripped him up out there where they were skeptical. You know, we have insurance and everything, you know, this little kid, and she's like, you need to get down here. They're asking me questions about this incident. And so I get down there about 45 minutes later, and they separate us, and they start talking about this, and my antenna went right up. Like I wasn't dumb about with this. I'm like, these dudes are looking for an abuse thing here.
Yep.
And so I was real careful when I spoke, and we both said the same thing. I mean, we don't want our son's arm hurting. Anyways, we navigated through that, but they treated us kind of like criminals until we could figure it out. And you know, for a long time I was like, well, at least they're doing that, because New Mexico has a lot of real poor people. And I'm like, you know, maybe this is a way to do this. But then over the years, I see that the real poor people aren't fucked with.
Yep.
I don't know what it is. They're like, there's some horrific cases in New Mexico where these kids keep getting taken back to abusive stuff, where they're getting cigarettes put out on their head, abused every day with real injuries, and they keep taking them back. And so I don't know if there's a conspiracy where they want these.
Well, there was I don't know if it's 5-10 years ago, but it was a conspiracy going around that, you know, the African American and the white wealthy families, like middle class, you know, right on that fringe of fuck with me, don't fuck with me kind of money. Those were the families that they went and got those kids, because supposedly the market was stronger for those kids. And I'm like,
whoa, Chris.
Yeah, like it's a thing. It makes you it's sickening that that's where our brains go. It's like, where can they find the best kid to take away and to, you know, put into the trafficking ring?
And all this trafficking stuff is modeling based, you know, like it's all modeling based. The stuff in New York, the stuff in Florida, the stuff in France, it's all these, you know. And who are the companies that are hiring these models? You know, all these glammy newspapers that these, you know, your daughters are reading through and fantasizing about. They're the traffickers. You know, that's why they have these big gala events, and then the parties afterwards where all the, you know, girls that got trafficked with the models come along.
Yep.
You know, and you guys are opening my eyes to this too, because you know, I just had noticed, you know, through the years, I'm like, why are these kids that are obviously being, you know, they're being abused, and they're left in New Mexico, leaves them in their these terrible families, and they're the ones that need the help. And then, you know, my wife.
Just think of it as a value system.
Yes. Yeah, my wife is a teacher in kind of a poor area of Albuquerque, and she every year she's got 2 or 3 kids that are right on the brink of, you know, and teachers really have, you know, but I don't know if it's just because that type of kid, which sucks to talk like that, is the ones we got a bunch of those guys. We need, you know, I don't know what it is, but now you guys got my eyes open on this.
Well, and did you see that clip we played of the mother at the doctor?
Yeah, I did, when she was saying I don't wanted a second opinion on the ADHD, and
can you imagine having a doctor's visit like that, Lobo?
Man, that's what kind of reminded me in my mind about the what I dealt with 20 years ago. These guys, they kind of look down their nose at you and like, who am I dealing with here? Well, who the fuck am I dealing with? I mean, but yeah, his attitude, like, I'm the doctor and I know what's best. He even said, I know what's best for you and your child.
Yeah.
I don't think so there,
Just
buddy.
because I'm a doctor. Now get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Is that what we're teaching doctors at doctor's class, is that they're just morally superior beings for, I feel like COVID did that to some people in the medical field. Like, it glorified them so much that they just sort of have this God complex now that they are the science.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Lobo, so when your son broke his arm, did they question your son first or just you and your wife?
Yeah, they started asking my wife questions enough where she said, you need to get down here now.
Yeah. Because that's the hard part too, is they try to confuse the children. And that you can't go one-on-one with a child. Like, their stories run rampant, for one of my daughters, she's 5. She got taken to a checkup and she's just telling the doctor that, we roughhouse and play. And like the doctor, what's going on in your house? Like,
oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. It's just like, I mean,
that's why people find doctors you can trust now. Yeah. Because now is the time that has separated the good from the bad. The doctors that were just pill pushers and adopters of whatever was memoed over to them that morning, and doctors who actually understand the human body. And you got to find those doctors because otherwise, why stress? Then you got to stress every time you take your kid to the doctor.
Yeah, and I would have, that taught me a lesson. I'm like, if they ever needed to go, we both go. And not if there's and he was a little boy. He broke his collarbone 3 years later. But I guess, Chris, you're right. We didn't have to navigate that because he was like 2, where he didn't speak well enough. So they weren't interrogating him, but they didn't let me speak with her, my wife, first, or we said hello or something, and then they said, Mr. Fisher, come in here or something.
Yeah, because I got a buddy,
scary deal.
His son broke his collarbone playing football, like pee-wee football, and the doctors were trying to threaten child abuse and everything on the parents for letting him play tackle football. And it's like, it's pee-wee football. Like, we understand that shit's gonna happen. It was a freak accident. They wear shoulder pads and helmets. Like, they were trying to threaten abuse to my buddy and his wife over their son, breaking his collarbone in a pee-wee football game. Like, calm the fuck down. Like,
there's such hypocrisy, because then you've got this
new ad for trans rugby players. Here's what it looks like.
Yes.
Rugby's the example you used for that.
Couldn't do badminton.
Or you could have done track or something that's just not literally rugby. And I think the reason that they're happy to have her on the team is but they're about to go undefeated.
The coach is like this. My job security is on the line. The unsaid says a lot. Is the campaign.
You can't spell unsaid without USAID.
This feels government funded to me.
We actually have a clip here of what trans rugby players actually look like when they play against girls. So these girls are running around, they're passing the ball to each other.
Go!
Yeah. So we'll worry about your kid's safety until it becomes, it does. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I had to get that in there. That's been killing me. That's been sitting in my pocket.
No, that's shitty, though. That's just like what Trump went back with his speech the other day. It's like that man or trans that broke the woman's record by 5 hours. You're a sorry-ass fucking human that couldn't compete on the man's level, so you had to go down to the women's level, and you shattered a record by 5 hours. Cool. You're still a worthless piece of shit. I hate that. The women's in men's sports. I mean the men and women's sports. It's just come on.
I agree, man. It's
Lobo, you're muted.
Yeah.
Hey, did you guys see the Mountain West tournament or conference where the Lobos play had a trans man playing on the volleyball team?
Oh yeah. Yep.
And half the schools, which I commended, Wyoming, Utah State, all forfeit their game against them. But the Lobos woke president, who I'm not a fan of right now, decided to take the game. And this dude bounced a ball off her face into the rafters. I mean, and it's very hard to find the clip because they bury it. But I bookmarked it. I haven't checked to see if it's still there. But
if you can find that.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's out there. I mean, you can. It's not there. It's not. It just wasn't reported. I mean, there's some clips out there of it. Luckily, our player, she fell back and got up and went out for one rotation or whatever, and came back in. She wasn't hurt for even the game. But
that stuff isn't a joke, No.
Dude, this guy was. You look at how much more leverage he had on these balls. I mean, it's much different because if it was all men playing, they would have a lot more defense right at the net. And this dude's sitting at over 2 feet above the net, right at people's freaking faces.
Just fucking.
But anyways, it was scary. It's just a different game, and there's nothing you can do about it. I don't know what these Gomers want to do, but now the NCAA is not going to allow that, but Albuquerque Public Schools is still allowing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a dude playing on the girls' JV. My daughter was playing, and I said, "That's a funny looking lady or little girl," and I'm looking a little closer. I'm like, I see what's going on here. And it's, I guess, I mean, that person wasn't dominating. He was a misfit type person, and probably gay or now he's trans. I shouldn't even say that. I mean, but anyways, it's happening still here in Albuquerque Public Schools.
Oh, well, there goes their federal funding.
Yep.
Yeah, they act like they don't care.
CC Trump on that.
Yeah.
At
DD.
I can't wait. They're going to roll through Chicago, and then they'll have to get through Chicago before they get to
New Mexico.
Albuquerque.
You know what, though? I mean, they've already got border, people at the border there in New Mexico, right? So just hop on over. Like, hey,
this is anytime you see like news from around here, there's nothing in the article about the immigration status, because you're like, oh, that looks like a pretty mean dude. Let's see if he's even here legally. And our police aren't allowed to ask, and reporters go out of their way not to report it, even if they do know on immigration. It's crazy. We're a sanctuary city here.
Oh, it's time to move.
Man, I wouldn't mind moving. I've just always had good work, and where I live, it's really nice. I can show you some spaces here in Albuquerque that you don't want to be. I wouldn't let my kids go.
I can't. I'll never get Breaking Bad out of my mind, Lobo. As much as you try, it's always just always see Walter White walking around in Albuquerque.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff could have happened here. I mean, that it's funny that house is only about 4 doors down from a guy I knew in high school. He lived on that same street. That's exactly my neighborhood that I grew
that's
up
wild.
In. Yeah, it's
those sanctuary states are, man, those I don't you've got a great job and a talent that'll travel. I don't understand. Like, I mean, I get it. I mean, it's hard to leave something you've been there for so long, but those states aren't going to get any better. I mean, they might now, but it's a long shot. Like, that beautiful state of Colorado is gone to hell in a basket. And it, I hate the snow anyways. I'm so over it. So I don't really care anymore. But like, there's parts of me that miss that place. And the other part, it's like, Well, it's expensive as fuck to live there. It's super this, it's that, so it's kind of glad to be in a red state, but
Man, I wish I'm New Mexico, and that's what I'm saying. I work with a bunch of more conservative people, and I tell them, do we want a bunch of smart people moving in here? And we're like sharks in a pond here. But if you look on a national level, for every $1 New Mexico sends the federal government, I think they get 6 point something back. So New Mexico is a state that gets more federal funding by like 6 times than they send. Where California and Texas, they have to send 5 to get 1 from the federal government. So those states have a little bit more leverage than New Mexico. I mean, Mexico is totally dependent on the federal government, or we die. But people keep voting here, so like it is. I just kind of stand back and
well, here's the thing though, is with this CPS deal, I wanted to cover it a little bit because we are having Spike on next week. God forbidding something doesn't happen to him. But for the first time, we're seeing like Spike got legislation. He got a bill passed in the state of Georgia preventing courts from withholding another doctor's opinion from being entered into evidence, because that's what was being experienced. Is the doctors that had no experience, that was the only testimony allowed. They wouldn't allow the doctors that had dealt with her since childbirth, who weren't state approved, testify. Yeah, and so something as simple as that, he was able to get within a year a bill passed. And now, you've put a lot of pressure on Georgia that there's, these 12 cases, and that's just part of, I'm sure that's just got to be a small little section of Georgia, and then at the same time in Oklahoma, there's a state senator that is coming up with legislation that if you have a child removed under false pretense, because a lot of times what's coming out is that to get the initial removal, DHS workers will elaborate or exaggerate or outright lie on details, and they give the paper to the judge. The judge reads the paper. He signs the removal order. They come, they take the child, and then there's a court date to discuss whether that document was correct or not.
Whoa.
So what happens is that if it is proven that those CPS workers lied or overly exaggerated to sway the judge's opinion on the case, they can face kidnapping charges. And he's taking that to the Oklahoma State Senate. So there are movements happening here, and it's because of places like X and stuff where people are being able to actually communicate now.
Dude, that'll be such a big win for Oklahoma, and then if that spreads, that'll help nip this in the butt 100%. That is so big, so big.
This is helping, like you're saying. Just me tuning into your guys' show, I wouldn't have known any of this stuff. I mean, other than me just kind of walking around looking, saying, "Hey, how come they don't take these? How come they're not interested in these poor kids around here?" But I'm over here in a soundproof room talking to the doctor. So I don't know, but now that you're right, opening up this information that they don't want out is going to be helpful.
And this is stateswide. This is not just Georgia. It's Iowa. It's South Dakota. It's New Mexico. It's Tennessee. It's everywhere. So, and it's exciting and Spike didn't start out looking for this. It just fell on his lap, and really, once it gets exposed, it's the easiest thing to win the public opinion on. If it's if it's a legitimate case and some parents are being abused by the system, everyone gets behind the parents because and it's as simple as telling the people you work with, hey, that there's a court that just kidnaps kids under false pretense, and then when they realize that they did it wrong, there's no repercussions.
It's a sham.
And unfortunately, it happened. Usually people can't get behind it until it happens to their families. But I think there's enough in this generation where it's happened to them or it's happened to their cousins.
Yeah, or watched it go by.
That we're going to have a chance with this generation to really push some standards through. So it's good. It's good news. I think it's good news. It's sad that this was going on. And it's sad that people go through this. But the fact that we're at this point now, that it's openly exposed, man, we're on the tail end of it.
I wonder too, though, with the numbers coming out of, more and more people having kids later and later in life. I wonder if I don't have any data to show or anything. I know people have kids later in life for multiple reasons and whatnot, but it's just like, if you grew up around all of this bullshit happening, it would be 100% a reason to have kids later, because let them figure out this bullshit before you bring a child into the world. And then one misstep happens at the park or wherever. And then boom, your child's gone. No way, Jose. Yeah. Let it, it needs to happen. It needs to get taken care of. And we're not saying that, because there are families that are abusing their children and everything else. There is wrong out there in this, but like we were talking earlier, you got to find that line and stand on it and make sure that it's going both ways.
You stand on the American line. That's where I draw the line, right? Like the freedom of speech, illegal seizure, my Fourth Amendment. Seizure of my property and all that stuff. All of that's violated in family court. All of it's violated. The illegal seizure, the written warrants. It's all a violation of constitutional rights, and so stand up to that point. I was told that I was being spied on 24/7 by a CPS worker.
Well, I kind of picked up, Corey. So you have a little experience with this, and that they were spying on you.
He came up to me and told I was my job delayed start 30 minutes, and so I didn't leave for work at the normal time, and all of a sudden I got a knock on my door, and there's my CPS worker, and he's like, "Why aren't you at work?"
Oh my gosh.
What does it matter to you, Dan Klein? Who turned out to be a predator that was removed from his church in Mason City, and then turned into a social worker that would, free market on single moms.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what's happening
there. And think of the power you held over them, over their case.
Yep.
If he didn't do what you wanted to do. And then when it came time for testimony a year later, he mysteriously disappears and is teaching at a community college.
Oh, wow. I'm sure there's...
I love the young market. So that was all over, that type of abuse. And the problem is there's abuse everywhere, right? Everyone, when they get power, you're going to have people that try to abuse it. The whole point of the political system, the republic, is that we have a state of laws that we all have to answer to. And when you get these bureaucrats with this social worker status, they make you believe they have a lot more power than they do. And organizations like youarethepower.net, and there's a lot of others, but the most organized and successful one I've seen is youarethepower.net. So, all right, we're done with that.
Well, you guys connected that dot too. I didn't realize that. Okay, this is a bigger thing with, trafficking of kids, and then that Ian Carroll was on JRE today.
Yeah, I was gonna play that clip real quick.
Yeah, I posted that clip where he talks about what Podesta was talking about kids, and they were calling them you know, they spent $65,000 on hot dogs, and it's just a very, if Rogan has it on, you know, the president's watching it. You know, Elon Musk is watching this stuff.
Yes, it's it's a huge breakthrough. I got the clip. Did you share it right there?
Well, I put one there, but it's probably whatever. It's the Joe Rogan about 2 minutes.
Because we've talked about the
Whatever
hot dog gate at, you know, when Obama was in office, and the pizza gate thing. We've talked about that before, and now more and more of it is coming to light now, which is, you know, we're glad it's
Ian
coming to
Carroll
light.
is very good communicator, and I really like the way he reports on stuff.
I just hope he's not a plant. I really hope Ian
I
is
don't know.
is not a.
Listen, if he is, I had when I saw he popped on Joe Rogan, I was a little, you know, butthurt. Like, what? Just his mustache isn't even that great. I've been saying this stuff since, you know, a long time before Ian Carroll came on the market with his suave hair. But then I realized that at least one of us got through, you know, because really Ian Carroll is asking all the questions we've been asking since the beginning of this show. Is who the fuck is this sex cult? Who's supplying them with all of these kids? Why is this just a big thing nobody talks about? And why are the Jews involved? Yep. You know, those are simple questions to ask. You know, I'm not saying one way or the other. And Ian Carroll, I think when he got Elon on one of his tweets, that's what really shot him up. Yeah. Here, I'll share the screen here. There we go.
Stuff like Pizzagate. Like when they had that guy come in and
I already
fire
know
up that shot, I felt like that was a great way to put a halt to all the looking into the Podesta emails.
What that was.
Because then all of a sudden it's a kook thing. Now it's a crazy person and a dangerous person because he's got a gun. You're causing dangerous people to take their guns.
Just like with the vaccines, it's like they always have to make it dangerous, right?
Yeah.
It's dangerous to say that this might have side effects, right?
Because if you read those emails,
exactly right.
Those emails are bananas.
They're not explained.
They're talking about young kids who are going to be coming to a party to have fun. They're talking
They'll
about
be in the
pizza
pool,
and
they
hot
will be
dogs.
there for sure. $65,000 worth of hot dogs flown from Chicago for a White House party.
The whole thing is like very weird.
Did you ever see the archived Instagram post from James Alefantis' Instagram?
No,
because that's a dark place. So that there's so many layers to Pizzagate that they tried to cover up intentionally for very good reason.
Well, how about the logos?
Well, the thing is, I avoid, in the way I've talked about it, I've avoided all the symbols and logos and even some of the pizza stuff because I think there's so much more ripe, clear evidence that is way more powerful. And James Alefantis' Instagram account is a great example where
can you find it online?
So you cannot find it on Instagram anymore. It's only been archived onto other sites, which is kind of sketchy because it's like, how do I know you're not adding photos and stuff? So you kind of have to dig and cross-reference over and over and over to make sure that you're getting sort of like the consensus, because everyone watched as it happened. So people like Liz Crokin, people like Alex Jones, like they saw these things come out. And you can find plenty of different archives of all of James Alefantis' Instagram posts. And there are things like photos of children with their arms taped to tables. And the caption is, looks like a fun time. And then people that have always been commenting on his posts, like the people that are interacting with his posts all the time, have even weirder Instagrams where it's like kill room. And there's a coffin that's open and things like that. There's like a photo of like a walk-in freezer. And it's like, man, looks like you've been having a fun weekend. Things like that are just super dark, and a bunch of babies and a bunch of symbolism, a bunch of children, and it's all photos on their Instagram in plain daylight. And they all got scrubbed, obviously. And that's not to mention Podesta's art collection and the Marina Abramovich connections. It goes on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
Well done, Ian Carroll. Because that's, the Marina Abramovich, you know what she's doing right now?
What is that?
Do you know who she is? Should we show a let's Lobo, you're gonna hate me by the end of this show. Arena Abramovich. Yeah, you know who she is, May?
The name sounds really familiar. Because I was just scrolling through all the comments, Trying to see.
I think there we go. Marina Abramovich. Okay, so this lady pops up on Alex's Jones radar, like, I don't know, probably 2010s, around there. This weird artist, right? She'd do all this sort of weird art stuff. Here's a clip. Here's the clip I'm looking for right here. Sorry, buy me some time.
Yeah, because I'm hoping. Oh, you got it.
Yeah, right here.
Whoa.
It's no sound, but for people now, this is your first time seeing this. So what do you think you're seeing here, Lobo?
Pouring blood in the corner on a little doll.
Right. So this is called one of their spirit parties. Is that what they called it, May? This is in the Podesta emails, right? So this is tagged lined with Hillary and a bunch of other people. Can't wait for our spirit cooking. Spirit cooking. That's what this is called. Whoa. Now, spirit cooking, let me see if I... Do we go this far, May?
We do.
Okay, all right. So spirit cooking, right? Now, May knows this because we talked about this like episode 6, I think it was. You know, so, Aleister Crowley episode on Spotify. It's not even on YouTube. Spirit cooking. So the spirit cooking was... What was involved with it was menstrual blood, semen, pig's blood, and I forget something else. Mother's milk. Mother's milk.
Yep, mother's milk.
And it's all mixed together, and then you eat it or drink it.
Take a little shot like wheatgrass.
Yeah, take a little shot. And let's see. Let's see here. I'm trying to just find. I mean, it's hard to find now that I'm looking for it. You know, this is.
Okay, Putin again. I'm ambassador for Zelensky. You know
That's her now, of course. She's the head of the Department of Education for Ukraine now.
Children.
Back in her good old days, she was just the spirit cooker for the Clintons and Podesta.
The hospital rebuilding. It's really important function.
Yeah.
I'm ambassador for Zelensky.
This is one of the emails here. Dear Tony, I am so looking forward to the spirit cooking dinner at my place. Do you think you'll be able to let me know if your brother is joining? All my love, Marina.
Wow.
Marina Abramovich.
Okay, Putin again.
That's why I'm not finding anything on it. Yeah. So that's the head of the Department of Education in Ukraine. And she's a devil worshiper. Yeah, she worships Molech. You know, she has to sacrifice kids. She's got to keep her God happy, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
no, this is
the naked dead bodies. You don't know if it's cake or it's real bodies, just displayed on the table. Just, you know, it's.
That's why Bohemian Grove, they sacrifice a kid at the end of the 2 weeks. It's not a real one. They sacrifice a doll on an altar to Molech. And the reason why we know it's Molech is because they address it, oh, Molech. And the reason we know that it's just not, you know, the cheapest doll they could find is they're like, oh, Molech, eat this baby. So, you know, it's not hidden. It's not hidden. And Alex Jones went in there in 2000 and taped the ceremony. And I mean, that was the thing that got me hook, line, and sinker because
I remember that.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay.
This crazy motherfucker going into that crazy ass worship and then broadcasting it. It was great.
They were so mad at him. You broke a gentleman's agreement. He's like, fuck you. Yes. Oh, the good old days. Now we have to. I mean, I was thinking with all the conspiracies being exposed, we're going to have to transition. We're going to have to pivot the show.
Well, the thing is, have you guys seen that they're kind of running out of horsepower? We can't even get the full list from
the
island. I mean, it's just like you're gonna have to go and battle these bureaucrats to get the papers out so people can see what's going on Epstein Island.
They're making deals right now. They got primaries coming up. They got to make sure every politician that's on that list that's for them is going to listen. We're going to have a few Democrats roll for sure, and maybe a Republican.
Couple.
You think we sacrificed a few?
Yeah.
That the late Governor Richardson here and from New Mexico is definitely going to be on that list, man. He was a partier and that.
That was Epstein had property in New Mexico. I forgot about that.
Well, yeah, and you can see it. It's right. It's about
that big old ranch.
40 miles east of Albuquerque, and we were doing a project out there, and you look up on this beautiful mesa, and it's a great house. And that's where I saw it like 10 years ago. I had no idea what it was. And anyways, you look on Google, and it got its own airstrip. It's on leased land out there. It's probably 35 minutes from Santa Fe, about 40 minutes from Albuquerque.
No.
And have you tried sneaking over there, driving past the driveway, seeing if anyone's there?
I could take someone that wants to do it right up to it, but I've just looked on Google Earth.
There was a guy on TikTok that did it. He got as close as he could to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it's all the secure gate and everything. Like you can like it's not just hop the fence and get in that. But is that why you think who just died recently? Fucking
Gene Hackman.
And his wife and his dog.
Like something's up with that because he's usually doesn't go 2 weeks without people hearing from him, or without checking on him within a day, and they're saying, he was here at least a week. Some dogs are alive, some of them are dead. It's just he could have died naturally, but his wife that was 65. Something's up with
61. I think she was 61, wasn't she?
Yeah, so she wasn't a natural death age. But yeah, there's Santa Fe. You can walk around, and it's just a different world there. But there's poor the people that work there have to live somewhere out on the outskirts. But yeah, it's only this ranch was only 35 minutes from Santa Fe. It's kind of below Santa Fe and east of Albuquerque, so people could have come and gone to that place, and it's secluded, man. You're there, and you would know a half hour before law enforcement's coming.
Though, for investigative purposes, if you want, a good idea might be to go to some of the nearby strip clubs around that area and just see if any of the women ever went and were called into Epstein's house. I mean, it's fresh enough, right? You might find a few.
No, it was.
He has a name for that ranch too. I can't remember what he.
Yeah, we can.
It's the Zorro Ranch.
Yeah, the Zorro.
If you pull it up on Zillow, you'll find it. I think it was on there at one point, but
we could get coupon. Business cards, and I think we could bankroll that with a couple ones, huh?
They were, Governor Richardson was around here, and he was. I met him a couple times, and he's very. He's a politician, man, and he was moving, and he was always in a party. He's in all the circles, got along with everybody, but he always had younger women around. And he had his older wife too with him all the time. I saw him 2 or 3 times at the local baseball. He'd come in for like a half hour, but his wife would be with him. But there would always be these attractive people around him too.
His aides.
Yeah, he's definitely was doing stuff at Epstein Island because I think they've already confirmed he's been on those flights.
All right, I think it's time to move on from kids. I can't do it anymore. Let's. We've done our due diligence, and we've got a wormhole that I do want to go down today. If you want to stick around, Lobo.
Yeah, I'd like to. Unless someone else calls in, I'll stick on.
Yeah, more of the merry. Ariana Grande, did you see that clip? It's been sort of circulating around.
Box edition is in the can. What's the next step? What do we got?
The next step is the next step. It means it must come out. You know, it's been.
Do you have a release date?
You know what? They did the Brighter Days memory erasure treatment to me, so I'm having trouble remembering the details. They're foggy because at the Brighter Days clinic they do the memory erasure, you know?
What?
The memory erasure. They erase my memories. It's a little foggy, but
if you could remember, struggle, tell me. Give me a date. Give me a date.
you know what? I'll have to go back to the clinic and see if they can restore my memory.
Is it going to be soon? Because the fans want to know, Ariana.
So soon?
All right, so I don't know if you guys saw this.
So bad.
She
like,
does.
It looks so bad. A shell of herself.
Yeah, her eyes were empty.
Yeah.
You guys are horrible human beings. She said a whole bunch of stuff, and all you could do.
I get it. Like she's been brainwashed because her new album's probably gonna be hot garbage. So they're like, "Listen, we're gonna wipe this from your memory." Because my kids right now, they love something on Netflix, Sam and Kate or Sam and Cat, whatever. And Ariana Grande's in that, and that's not even the same person. I mean.
All right. I watched it. I thought it was AI at first, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, is she talking about her memory being wiped, really? And now, of course, there's community notes out that say she's just talking about not wanting to tell when her album comes out. And so,
community notes.
Yeah, and that's, was edited to look like that. And so I'm sitting there, gentlemen, and I'm thinking, I thought I remember us talking about implanting false memories at one point in time. Do you remember talking? What do you think they can implant false memories?
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean,
I'll play this clip from 2016.
Seeing that person commit the crime, even though that person's utterly innocent.
Also, very funny that this is at the World Economic Forum.
That it becomes a planted memory. And so there's some really interesting research that we can plant false memories in the brain. And in a different context, one of the emerging areas that's really interesting in law neuroscience is pain detection. And once we understand the circuitries that cause pain, I guess the question is, could we then instill pain and use that in many coercive measures in the legal system as well? So.
Wow, that's amazing. Did you want to add anything, Brian?
Wow, that's amazing.
Well, and that's because I've seen that clip, and I remember scrolling TikTok probably a couple weeks ago or whatever, and it kept coming up of like a new prisoner program that they want to push out because it's costing so much money to rehabilitate and to house these prisoners that let me play you this little interesting clip on. It ties just in.
A facility designed to treat criminals like patients. Instead of spending years in an actual prison cell, prisoners could finish their sentence here in just a few minutes. Cognify could someday create and implant artificial memories directly into the prisoner's brain. These complex, vivid, and lifelike memories are created in real time using AI-generated content. Depending on the seriousness of the subject's crime and their sentence, the memories could be tailored to the rehabilitation needs of each subject. The artificial memories implanted by Cognify would be seamlessly incorporated into the existing neural networks of the brain, preventing cognitive dissonance and ensuring the subject experiences the memories as if they were real. The Cognify concept offers a new approach to criminal rehabilitation, transforming how society deals with offenders by focusing on rehabilitation rather than punishment.
Yeah.
Wow. A punishment so bad it compares to prison, and it happens just in your brain.
Well, and that's what they were talking about too. Is another clip I found was like that. Depending on the crime and stuff, you would be able to feel that pain that of the crime that you caused, and then you would feel the pain of the family and everything else, and it would just, and it's a short process, but it's a
Like
short process that would almost serve as like 75, 100 years, like, you know what I mean, of just gut wrenching, just try to rehabilitate that person and make that person empathize on what's going on. It's fascinating. I still don't think I'd want those people released after they go through a little program like that, because you don't know if it'll stick or whatnot. But I found it fascinating after watching that clip that Corey played first. That's just one of the many things that they could do with with this whole memory wash or memory program.
Well, the Neuralink's already in at least one human, right?
Well, and I wonder that too now, right? Like, is that an aspect to help this system along? Now, everything I've seen is purely psychological, right? Like, it's all mind manipulation.
Oh, right.
You ever seen that movie Manchurian Candidate?
Oh, yeah.
It's got Denzel Washington and Liev Schreiber. Oh, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. But it's exactly this. Spoiler alert. They implanted they implant memories into these guys to create a whole scenario happened in Iraq that never happened, and it's interesting because it plays. When I watched it the first time, like how they got them to create these memories was through trauma. So they would put these soldiers through trauma and then put them through, like electro therapy. They'd make them shoot one of their other fellow soldiers. And then, they'd spend, 3 days being programmed of a story until all of them memorized it perfectly. And then 30 years go by, this guy becomes a politician, and his whole story of how he became famous and how he was a war hero is all this collective false memory that was taken from his platoon when they ambushed them and sent them to where did they send him to? It was like Guantanamo Bay or something. It's this fanciful story. But and then go ahead.
No, finish up with what you're saying.
No, I was just going to play this clip of this lady, because she's just. This is the scientist Elizabeth Loftus.
Yep.
Right, you can follow her. Did you find this chick, May?
Yeah, I've got a little clip on TikTok of her, and then I found a podcast, a little clip I want to play of her.
Let's focus on this lady a little bit then today, because she's a little creepy.
In 1990, we began to see a more extreme kind of memory problem.
This is from her TED Talk.
Some people were going into therapy, and they would get a therapist who said, everybody I've seen with those symptoms was abused as a child. I wonder if anything like that happened to you. And there began this process of attempting to dig for allegedly buried trauma memories. And in the process, many people began to develop false memories of horrific abuse. Researchers studied the ability to plant false memories. One group in Tennessee planted a false memory in the subject that when you were a kid, you nearly drowned and had to be rescued by a lifeguard, succeeding with about a third of their sample. A group in Canada planted a false memory of being attacked by a vicious animal. They succeeded with about half of their sample. The ability to plant false memories raises a lot of ethical questions for our society. In 1990,
Wow, that's interesting, because your brain, or people's brains, are so powerful. And for me, I don't remember my dreams except for the really just crazy ones where someone died or something, and I'll wake up in the morning and it'll take me a few beats to feel relief that it wasn't real. And if somebody got to me right then, they could totally convince me that just happened, so your brain can imagine something so real that all it takes is, did you just see that? Somebody just woke, or I don't know.
Then the deja vu is wild, just
Yep.
And the explanation is always, oh, you're just tired.
Yeah.
Your brain's just tired, so it's disconnected. Right? Like that sounds so
brain is powerful.
It's like going to your Catholic priest and asking a question that doesn't make sense about theology, and they're just like, you just don't get it.
Yeah.
It's just God. Yeah. And sometimes I'm like, well, maybe there is some truth to this disconnect we're experiencing, but
it is wild though, because I've noticed more and more TV shows have come out of like with what you're saying with the maturing candidate, I can't even speak.
Yeah.
So that one, so Apple came out with one that that the basis, was kind of just in your brain, but also like the brother was in the military and they did like a Neuralink thing with his squad that he was in, and they would shove all these memories and everything into each one of the people. And one of the episodes talks about like that he was at a bar one day, walked in and just got this instant rage and tingle and beat the shit out of this random dude sitting at a bar. Well, come to find out that guy at the bar was abusing and beating on one of his squad mates when he was a young child. And it just Neuralinked into like the memories, and he was there and he handled it. And it's just like, it's so crazy because where this can go and what they can do with it to make it a power or to manipulate it to how they want to play it is fucking scary. It is. They can either erase certain things and make you forget everything, or they can program it to be so powerful that, it takes place in that. But anyways, no, that Loftus, let me see. I didn't listen to all of it, so hopefully it's not the same that we just listened to, but let me play what I found.
Yeah.
But yeah, while you're pulling it up, I can see what this therapy thing where people are convinced they're suffering from something, and you tell them what it is, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that must have did happen. I had a, they thought it was a dream, but that must have did happen to me, or that must have."
Very odd, right? It's.
Can you explain that a bit more? One of the things that distinguished professor
is for us. That's KLUNA at APA.org.
I'm joined by Dr. Elizabeth Loftus, a distinguished professor at the University of California, Irvine. Dr. Loftus is well known for her research on human memory, notably false memories. Dr. Loftus has been honored by APA's Review of General Psychology as one of the 100 most eminent psychologists of the 20th century. Welcome, Dr. Loftus.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to have you here today.
My pleasure.
So your research tells us something I would think is unsettling about our minds, that our memories aren't set in stone, that they're basically subject to manipulation. So can you explain that a bit more?
One of the things that I and other people who do similar work have shown is that once you have an experience and you record it in memory, it doesn't just stick there in some pristine form, waiting to be played back like a recording device, but rather new information, new ideas, new thoughts, suggestive information, misinformation can enter people's conscious awareness and cause a contamination, a distortion, an alteration in memory. And that's the kind of thing that I've been studying for the past many decades.
And how can human memories be manipulated?
They can be manipulated when people talk to each other after, let's say, some crime is over that they may have both witnessed. They can be manipulated when they are interrogated by an investigator who maybe has an agenda or has a hypothesis about what probably happened and communicates that to the witness, even inadvertently. People can be manipulated when they see coverage about an event. Say it's a high publicity event that is talked about a lot on television or newspapers. in all of these cases, the opportunity is there for new information, not necessarily accurate information, to contaminate a person's memory.
And what got you interested in this work?
Oh gosh,
We can stop it
I
whenever.
got interested in studying memory distortion many decades ago. I as a graduate student, I'd done a little bit of work on human memory. And then once I got my PhD, I wanted to do some work that had.
I'm curious. She's from California. Is she of the Jolly West tree, dude?
Ooh.
Jolly West was in charge of UCLA, right? I mean, she's old enough, and he was there for quite some time. Here, I can look. I mean, we can look into this real quick because they were all into that type of manipulation.
Yep.
What's her name? Who are we talking? What's this?
Elizabeth Loftus.
Ugh. Let's see here. Does Grok know, or should we go the old Wikipedia?
Oh, try Grok first.
All right. Here you go, Elon. Someone contacted me today. It was the most interesting spam call I ever got on Twitter. And yeah, it was Elon's secret message account. So Elon got a hold of me on a secret message account, which a Twitter account named Elon's secret message account, which isn't verified.
Trust it.
Say what?
Trust it.
Trust it. So they tell me to get Telegram, right? And then he calls me. Elon Musk calls me, and he's holding the phone away, and it's grainy footage, right? And he's saying something to me, and he's showing me to his board of directors, sitting with a SpaceX shirt on, and and I'm completely shirtless during this phone call, waiting to shower, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm like, this is the most inventive scam ever. And then and so I was like, what's up, Elon? What do you need, bud? And he goes, I need you to go to the closest store and find me an Apple gift card. And I said, okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. We got to be ready for that.
Well done,
that
though.
Come with a Tesla, Elon?
He offered Tesla stock. He did. He's just giving that away. That, or he's going to load it up into my Bitcoin wallet, which is really nice. I mean, these guys have gotten good. I get impressed. Let's see. I did not see anything on Grok about her, but I was going to check out her Wikipedia here. She was born in 1944. American psychologist who's best known in relation to misinformation effect, if that doesn't sound like a CIA op, false memory, and criticism for recovered memory therapy. Now, if you go to Operation Shaver, you will discover the wormhole. Did you see they're making a movie about it on Netflix, I think?
Oh, no, really?
It's called Chaos, and it's all about it, Jolly.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, but recovered memory therapies. Now, Jolly West was known for going into people that did these heinous crimes and helping them remember that they did it. Remember that? That was his specialty. Interesting. Where did she go? 1970. New York, New School for Social Research, New York City. All right. And then went to University of Washington. George Franklin was on trial for murdering a young girl 20 years prior. The prosecution's evidence included eyewitness testimony that she had witnessed the murder based on recovered memory, which was unearthed during a therapy session a year before the trial.
Interesting.
So in the 90s, and that's what she talked about, right? In that one video we watched, it all started in the 90s. When they, I don't see any links. Looks like, I mean, she was born Jewish family in Bel Air, California. Her father, Sidney Fishman, was a doctor, and her mother, Rebecca Fishman, a librarian.
Oh, yep.
When Loftus was 14 years old, her mother drowned. Oh, buddy.
What happened?
This is what we do here at Fantom Facts, people. We break stories. We link stuff. You're not going to get this on a Joe Rogan, Ian Carroll interview. That's for the boomers. No offense, Lobo.
No, I'm all right.
Oh, you're not. All right, right here. She received a Bachelor of Arts degree in mathematics and psychology from UCLA in 1966.
Say it ain't so.
Now let's see, Jolly. When was he running the psychology department at UCLA? Let's see here. We don't want
Looks
that.
like he's in San Francisco in 1967.
Well, we know that he had an office there, but I think he was still head of the psychology department of UCLA.
That makes sense.
Because he was remember, he had a bunch of understudies. I might be off here. It says from 1969 to 89, he served as a chair of psychiatry for UCLA School of Medicine and Neuropsychiatric Institute.
That's in the time frame where he would probably be around when she was there.
They're both working on it at the same time, at least. They had to, and if it's 67, so then it's, yeah. I thought it was earlier than that. He had, okay, so where is he in 66? He's in Stanford. All right. Yeah, they're all there.
Yep, that connects.
Or at least the same Institute of Learning, right? And he later goes on to run that too, because he has a bunch of undergraduates running those sexcapade studies with LSD and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe she was the more practical one. You know, she's like, listen, Jolly, you can't just fuck your way to implanting memories, all right? You got to put a little work into it. But you know what? They all talk about Jolly. I bet she's pissed about this Chaos movie coming out because she's probably done way more fucked up stuff than Jolly did. But Jolly got to have all the fun.
Yep, and the credit.
When did who did they call to take care of JFK? And yeah, no, not her. That's
a man's job. Yeah, I'll play what I found on Twitter or on TikTok of Loftus. Here we go.
In the 1990s, psychologist Elizabeth Loftus made a chilling discovery. What if your most vivid memories are nothing but lies? She set out to prove that with just a few words, you can plant an entirely false memory in someone's mind and they'll believe it completely. She gathered participants and asked their families for real childhood memories, birthdays, trips, first pets. Then she slipped in a fake story. Remember when you got lost in the mall as a child? At first, the participants were confused, but as Loftus gently insisted, something eerie happened. They started to remember. They recalled crying. They saw a stranger's face. They remembered the clothes they wore. Within days, these fabricated stories became detailed emotional experiences. The participants could see them all, hear their own cries, recollections so vivid they believed them. This was the false memory study, and it revealed a disturbing truth. Your memories are not records of what happened, they're stories, fragile and easily rewritten. A single suggestion can change the past in your mind, altering what you believe about yourself, your family, and your own history. Loftus's work shattered the credibility of eyewitness testimonies and raised a question that haunts us to this day. If the very fabric of your past can be so easily altered, how do you know that what you remember is real? So, The question isn't just how reliable are your memories, it's what if the most important events of your life never even happened?
Well, it sort of gives validity, right? If we know they're fucking around right with this, and they also were contracted to work on government projects, which she was, is the Mandela effect then a real thing, man?
It's got to be, because there's a lot of traction on the Mandela effect. So it would all tie in beautifully.
Well, and also a perfect spot they could be using all these amazing buildings for the lunatics. They could have been giving them false memories of how these structures were built and how they're going to tell everyone that it took 1 year. You know, they could have been doing those huge, amazing buildings that they were putting insane asylum people in. They were giving them false memories of what the hell really happened just then.
World fairs, was that I mean, we're going way back then, but I mean, the Germans had really become, when it came to psychology, extremely advanced by the 1800s, right? And then all of that learned knowledge is destroyed. And sometimes I wonder if we're just we do this whole rebuilding of the.
Was it really destroyed? Do you think it was shipped over here and planted piece by piece?
Because of the methodology, like they'll if you in that day and time where you didn't even have telephones to call, and you just get everyone to go to this amazing place, and you just stare at them right in their face and said, "We built that last year. We built that 2 months ago," and you're going, "Dang, we better get on it over here where I'm at, because we're not doing nothing like that." They're like, "Yeah, take it back. This is all we did, all this," but and then that kind of, they go back to Chicago and they said, "You see what St. Louis did?" And then people go from St. Louis to Chicago and they say, "Do you see what Chicago did?" And none of them have the clear answer. They were just told, we built that last year. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it plays in so many different ways. You can use it for unlimited amount of things that you want to manipulate and point in your favor, or always in your favor, no matter if it's forget or program to remember something that didn't happen.
Go and teach your kids how we had this boom of these amazing buildings before we even understood water treatment. I mean, they were Minneapolis was drinking contaminated water while they're building these amazing structures, and it just don't make any sense. They're just all standing there around drinking gross water. You think humans are going to do that? You're like, we got to build this building. I don't understand, but we can't even figure out that we need water treatment at that time. It's crazy. They're getting all sick and. Anyways,
that old world stuff, it ties in nicely because I've heard this theory used before. You've heard about lizard people. Playing on that theory and tying it into Skyrim, like there's these different types of evolved humans, right? There's the Scottish pure human, with the red beard and Davidic line, and then obviously, and then there's like the lizard people to fight, the Schumers, the Pelosi's, the weird shifty eyes, and then they said, the Magi, like the manipulator of reality. Like that is, we in Skyrim, the Magi, the magic class. Well, there's always been a class that is a manipulator of reality, and they're one of the most powerful classes in the human structure. And taking away the analogy to the video game, but like you think about like the priests, the Egyptian priests, they decided who the kings were. These, and they manipulated reality in the sense that they created gods or, their own version of miracles, whether you want to believe that, I think some of that stuff's legit. You go to Machu Picchu and there's just like this huge runway in the mountain. It doesn't make sense. Like these people, there was something really intelligent here that was trying to be passed on to us.
Yeah, that's
agree.
the magic force and how you adapt it and how you change it for the better or for the worse. I mean, it's if you could take simple folk or just that clay mind and form it however you want, you're gonna get people to buy in, and then you're off and running. Like so.
And what is magic? It's a manipulation of words.
Yep.
Right. It's I love this. I found this clip, the abracadabra spell. I don't know if you guys ever know anything. This is cool.
Lady Gaga's out here doing some fallen angel witchcraft now. Everyone's out here using the word abracadabra like it's some silly made-up word, not knowing that it's real witchcraft and comes with real consequences.
First of all, I believe her because she sounds like she's from Long Island, Italian descent. She's Catholic, strong. She got housewife. Yep. Just studying Hebrew in the in between inserting Veggie Tales for her kids.
And it's also why none of us should be listening to this song or watching it, because the lyrics are literally a spell. Take it from this strega. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Lady Gaga has some explaining to do, and here's why. Not only is the imagery very disturbing, giving off satanic ritualistic symbolism all throughout the video, but now here's the kicker. Let me explain exactly what she's saying in this video and how the abracadabra is bringing it into reality and why we should not listen to this song. So where does the word abracadabra come from and what does it mean? Abracadabra originates as a Hebrew language and it's specifically used in witchcraft. It's actually pronounced Ada Kadabri, and it means I will create as I speak. The universe has one song and one truth. Words cast spells, and that's why it's called spelling. Words are energy. Use them wisely. The cells in your body react to everything that your mind says, to the point where negativity can bring down your immune system. Experts in the occult and witchcraft know this. Did you know that the difference between abracadabra and avada kedavra? It means I will create when I speak, and avada kedavra means I will destroy as I speak. The words come from ancient Aramaic and was said to be used in witch spells. Abracadabra is a powerful spell, especially when used in a triangular mode. But it was also used for good, because when you're writing it downwards, it rids yourself of evil. If you write it upwards, it's for good luck. People from the ancient world used to write it on amulets. Using the triangular form.
I pause it there for a minute.
That's interesting. My 5-year-old loves that song, and I hate listening to that song every time it comes on the radio.
I even know.
Abracadabra, abracadabra. I'm just like, God, shut the fuck up. Fucking hate you, Lady Gaga.
I didn't mean to trigger. I didn't mean to trigger you there, buddy.
I need that memory wiped. I need to.
Don't worry, they'll implant it with something else. It was never Lady Gaga. It was Lady Lala. Yeah. You're like, I swear to God.
And just leave it up to her too, Lady Gaga, to put out. She's just known for this demonic, satanic fucking BS. Always. That is her just go-to. Even, back to her, at the beginning to now. It just doesn't fucking miss a beat.
It's always like the English language is a mirrored reverse of the Hebrew language. It's very unique. in its design and how it matches up to Hebrew. And so, and I
I
mean,
wonder if I need to write abracadabra. What'd you say? An upward triangle for good luck?
better figure that out. Do we need casting spells on your family?
I know we're probably picking up something off of that.
Why is it always a triangle too? Like, what was their fascination with the triangle back in the day?
Because it's a greater power, greater being created it. It's salute to something more. It's got to be. I mean, Elon threw it out there at the fucking speech. What is it, yesterday? Was the day before? Yeah.
Elon?
Yeah. Remember the hands? Fucking.
Oh yeah, dude. What was with that?
Yeah, he
Did you watch it, Lobo?
Yeah, I saw him do that.
Did you see that Mel Gibson, when he went on Joe Rogan and he was talking about pyramids in Central America that are bigger than the pyramids in Egypt?
No.
And they're covered up.
Yeah, and they're covered up.
Oh, like buried? Like half of it's buried? Is that what you mean?
Well, I don't know if it's buried as much as it's just overgrown.
Oh.
But they're bigger than. And you've seen those. Oh, go ahead.
There's one in Turkey that's like 5 times bigger than the Gaza, the biggest one in Egypt, but 2/5 of it, or 80% of it is buried. I mean, it's like they built it all and then either buried it or there was a freaking mud flood or something.
If we take a fighter jet and throw a missile at one of these pyramids in Gaza and just explode it, what do you think would happen? You think Big Demon comes out of it and just starts swinging like Godzilla, or some terrible red smoke? Like,
What happens if it powers down the sun?
or you
Okay.
shoot it
Yeah, you
and
don't
it
know what
just
you're messing
stops
with.
or bounces back?
Well, it's massive. I mean, those rocks are the size of freaking Volkswagen.
Yeah,
they look like sugar cubes. I mean, you better bring a lunch if you're going to try to blow that thing. That's a hole in one of those, buddy.
Yeah, but they built it. They built it by hand.
Yeah,
with
it can't be
slaves.
that hard.
No, it wasn't
Use
that bad.
levers. Just
Yeah,
big shovel.
Yeah. Well, I remember there was reports of these pilots flying over China, like mainland China, back in the 1940s, early 40s, maybe late 30s, helping the Chinese part of the government or whatever was going on, and they remember seeing pyramids with shining, tops. Like, how they always say that's the tops of the pyramids would have been. Like that. It would have been limestone all the way down, right? So it would have been shining.
Yeah.
Right.
Or marble. I forget what I was supposed to be, but something that would reflect light. And they spotted above the growth of the vegetation that had grown above these things, the tips of these pyramids. And then they found the pyramids, but the tips were gone. So it's just what happened here?
Yeah.
What happened here? And why are we, this whole disassociation of, this is a weird thing with psychology, right? Like, we learned this about eugenics, where they're trying to sort of prove their worth to the medical field. Like, hey, we're psychology. We actually should have a say in medicine. And so they're trying to prove their worth, and they come up with eugenics, right? So that backfires on them. And it takes them 60 years to realize that eugenics is a horrible idea, which I don't think they even agree that it's a horrible idea. They just don't say it publicly anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And so then they continue on in their psychological ways trying to get past that. And now they're trying to prove you can just disassociate someone from their body, right? That's what this whole gender discussion is, right? Gender is different from biology. Your brain is physically completely separated from your anatomy. And to me, that's just the flex by psychologists trying to say, hey, we, and if they're implementing the tactics that were used in the 90s to create false memories, are they creating false memories of only feeling like a girl or only ever feeling like a boy during these therapy sessions?
100%.
Interesting.
100%.
Yeah, interesting. Exactly.
Because it fits an agenda. Everything is on an agenda. So it's just fitting it to capture it in the moment that they've set it up in. So it makes complete sense.
So you're convincing these kids, you're implanting false memories. You're not convincing them of anything. You're implanting false memories and then letting their brains fight it out.
Yeah. And their brains are strong enough and developed enough to kick that to the curb, in a sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
takes it apart.
You get access to a young human. You can teach them the sky is up or down and the ground is up. I mean, and they're like, and if anyone tells you that something different, you know that they're coming for you, and that kid is done right then.
Hell, what our brains don't mature until when? I mean,
and guys are like 27, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
I think it is like it's 27 or something. It's late.
Like you were saying, Chris, young kids, they speak out of context. They don't understand their words, and they're like a sponge. You tell them, well, yeah, but it takes away. You get them young, and you can teach them whatever you want, but they'll also say stuff that is not coming out right.
No.
But the key is get to the kids, man. Get to the kids.
Well, I think it's interesting. We've uncovered this little plot by what was her name again? Loftus,
yeah.
Loftus. Elizabeth. Ugh. Listen, she does not get laid.
No,
not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
It's interesting though, because I mean, there was, just on how the brain works and whatnot. Or how the mind works. It's such a powerful playground to play in, and how you can shape and form to whatever you want it to do and the outcome you want to plot on. It's insane. I've got two more clips that I found pretty interesting. We'll go with Dr.
Your
Rachel.
brain can and does create false memories. I'm going to explain how, because I'm Rachel and I am a neuroscientist. At its core, a memory is just patterns of activation in the brain that happen enough times that they become stronger. So in theory, you can and do create memories about things that never happened. This is likely to happen in some specific contexts, and I'm going to give you 3. Context number 1, the misinformation effect. So let's say you witness a car accident and both cars are black. But several hours later, when I'm questioning you, I say, was the offending car red or blue? This, surprisingly, is very likely to change your recollection of the event. In fact, this is a reenactment of a classic study demonstrating exactly that phenomenon. Context number 2, the partisan bias. We're more likely to create false memories if they align with our existing political beliefs. So, for example, somebody who's conservative leaning will be more likely to believe a negative fabricated story about a liberal politician and vice versa. Interestingly, when you recall that information later, your brain might also add more details to solidify that memory. And I'll explain why in context 3, which is schemas. So I've talked before about how the brain is an energy efficiency machine. Part of how it achieves this energy efficiency is that it has little catalogs called schemas. So in any given situation or context, your brain will pick up key cues rather than processing all of the information. And it will rely on those existing catalogs to kind of fill in the gaps. Let's say I bring you into an empty space with some objects in it, and it's a fork, a fridge, an oven. Later on, when you come to remember that context, you may also add other things like a dishwasher, a fruit bowl, things that fit your schema of kitchen, right? Now, collectively, this to me highlights the importance of media literacy and critical thinking. Just because you remember something one particular way doesn't mean that your brain isn't playing tricks on you. It's so important to continuously fact check our own beliefs and be willing to change our minds, because Even though it feels real, it's not always real.
Just play that at every liberal convention.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Over the PA, just as loud as you can get it.
Hello, loves. Just a friendly reminder from Dr. Rachel. You're batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, Maynard.
And you want me to play the last one I got? It's the 3-box memory.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
Welcome to the Joys That Are Psychology. Today we're going to talk about false memories. Okay, so before I talk about false memories, let's talk about how memories work in the first place. So according to Atkinson and Schifrin, there's really a 3-box model to memory. So you'll notice sensory memory, short-term memory, and long-term memory. Sensory memory is relatively basic, but it's short, so smells, taste, touch, etc. Short-term memory is relatively short, but it's also the things like working memory and executive function that we use every single day. From that, we store things into our long-term memory. Long-term memory is relatively limitless, but in order to talk about it, we actually have to move it by retrieving it into our short-term memory again. So memory isn't like a video recording. Instead, it's like an improv prompt in theater. You move it into short-term, rehearse it, and then send it into storage in long-term. This is where false memories come into. Elizabeth Loftus has done a ton of research on this, but time and suggestion can change a memory. If we inaccurately rehearse a memory, it actually changes in our long-term memory.
So that was the wrong clip, but whatever. I love how they just play such loud music over these clips on TikTok.
It is.
My favorite.
I still no. Sometimes though, I wonder though, right? Because these people telling us how our brain works. I mean, they just sort of are they telling us the whole?
That's not every brain. I've seen people's brains that work way different than mine. Sometimes they're way more accurate, and sometimes mine's I think is more accurate. But everyone's brain's not exactly cut and dry the same.
But when you watch them talk, Lobo, don't you feel like they're referring to humans as like a lab rat to them?
Yeah, and like they're just built somewhere. I mean, they're all developed differently. They're, I know some people's short-term memory is huge. I know I've met people that their desk is 5 inches thick of paper, and they can pull out exactly the one they're looking for. They've got like a different type of storage system in their brain, and every humans do. I mean, they can make some general statements, but I don't think it's for everybody.
Well, and that's just it. It's like that's the problem with this type of medicine is you're just trying to create boxes for people, categories to fit them in your algorithm so that you can market to them, you can medicate them, and they all fall within this category. And that was really with like the No Child Left Behind program that Bush started. It was this categorizing of kids very early on who would be useful to their society, who would be troublemakers. If they were troublemakers, you got them on meds right away. And if that didn't work, then, they just went into the system and, they were disposed of. There was nothing to work with those brains. They gave people nothing to work with those brains. And then these people, 10, 15 years later, they find their way out of it because they're smart people. They just were not. They were in a wrong school system. Is what happened.
That's a good point. Really
Same for the cults. I mean, it all just it's. I don't know. I mean, I don't have any cult experience, and I'm not saying your cult experience was brainwashing to the fucking finest degree, but it seems like it's. I mean, what you can do with your words. And I just put a little passion behind it. It seems like you can you could sell ice cream to an Eskimo. It's a crazy, crazy, beautiful thing.
Yes, well, you got that's and I'm sad when I see like JWs, really struggling because like you have this like strong desire just to hate your whole experience in there, and you can't hate the whole experience. You got to find something. You got to find something of value. Otherwise, you're just going to be
miserable.
Yeah, you can just be miserable the whole time. Yeah, don't do that to yourself. Don't let them win. That's the design, right? Is they want you to feel miserable so you come back. So you can't do that. I've got a good news. Well, good news thing.
From my perspective, it gives amazing structure to young people. So you probably benefited from that. I mean,
yeah. Well,
cause and effect, and when things get done.
Manifestation, all of that stuff at a very young age I learned because and I didn't know there was words for it because it was all integrated into cult speak, but all of those things were taught weekly to us. Like you become what your words, if you put something out there and work towards it, you will get it, and it's true. You will get it. And it's just interaction with people. Like I have a weird social structure, right? Because ever since I was a kid, I knocked on doors, and so I've talked to literally hundreds of thousands of different people. From the time I was a kid to the time I was 21, and I left, and you're not just talking to them, but at 1 out of every 30 is going to tell you a real serious life story, because you're there with a serious subject. And so you get to see a lot of people that are suffering just day to day and dealing with their own, everyone's got their own trauma and stuff. And that's why I love that Tom McDonald song, is because it's like, there's always a little bit of hope elsewhere. It's not in Israel. All right. Yes. I bet it's sorry. It's not. I do have a good news. Saying a little good news clip.
Yeah, good news clip.
Let's finish it off.
I've lived a million times, and what if he wouldn't have been in there with me? I'd be dead today. That's it.
But Ron Williams is alive and with quite a tale to tell. The main character is his pet cat, Fluffy.
That's a boy.
Ron adopted Fluffy from a friend not too long ago.
And I looked at him and I just fell in love with him.
Williams, who turns 85 in September, didn't know that a few weeks after he got him, Fluffy would save his life. We all talk to our pets, and that's how this story starts.
The phone would ring, and I'd say, ring-a-ding, ring-a-ding, and I didn't know he'd pick up on it.
Thank goodness Fluffy did. A few days ago, Ron slipped getting out of the shower. With his life alert on the charger, his phone up on the counter, and the door closed, Ron was trapped.
My arm was pinned under me, and the hours kept going by.
For 16 hours, from 8 in the morning until midnight, Ron lay trapped in agony on the floor. Until he remembered, Fluffy was in the room too, and Ron took one crazy last chance to save his life.
So I said, Fluffy, ring-a-ding, Fluffy. And I says, you're my only hope. And he was. It wasn't even 5 minutes later, I felt something in my hand. And I'm here because of it.
God dang.
Oh my goodness.
He's lucky he lived, because that cat would have eaten his face if he would have died.
It's most cats would just I got a few more hours here and I'm gonna have this place to myself for a couple months. It's amazing. I haven't heard of cats helping people, man. That's good. It's enlightening to see that happened.
Breaking news.
I could see a dog doing that.
Yes. James Franco will be making a movie on it called 16 Hours.
Oh, can't wait. Can't wait. Does he stomp on his arm with his walker?
The first 5 minutes is the fall, of course, naturally.
Yeah.
The next hour and a half of the movie, I think, will be the build-up. Well,
I know he didn't say, but he failed getting into the shower, so we're assuming it's just skin and bones, and we're glad that old Fluffy didn't just go right after his beanbag. He actually listened and went and got the phone.
The amount of cat hate in this room is intolerable.
Listen, my barn cat just gave birth to 5 cats, so I mean, I like cats, but I mean, I'm not gonna trust my fucking cat to go get my cell phone.
I will say this, like, I have always had your view of cats, even with Putin, our beloved pet mascot. We have always had a very much roommate relationship, and I'm only obligated to a certain amount of time, usually around 5 to 15 minutes of attention. And then we're both happy about it, right? He has never sat on my lap, never asked to sit on my lap. I picked him up when he was like 7, so he's already a farm cat. So he'll sit next to me. And that's as close of a bro moment we'll have. And so I've just got this is my favorite cat in the world, right? Because he's not all over me or anything. So then we get another cat, a beautiful little kitten, orange kitten. And I go on the road to travel, and I leave it up to my beautiful partner in life, Naomi, to raise this cat. And I come back, and this cat, like, talks to you, will give you kisses at night, like come up and lick your nose good night, and then go and lay in his own bed. I mean, just
he's tasting you to see after it all falls out. What is that? Is that my first snack or is that the second snack?
Your cat, dude, I can't help it. It's adorable. Like sometimes I'm just like, God damn it, because cats are not supposed to. Yeah, so I mean. What was the cat's name? Fluffy Balls or Fluffy? Little Fluffy.
Yeah.
Little
Corey,
Fluffy.
Your cat's got you now, buddy.
They do, man. They do. Like now I know Putin, if I fell, would wait. He would just wait and look forward to finally eating me. But I think JC would actually.
No, JC's got taste. He knows. He might pretend, I'm going to help Corey, but. Once this motherfucker kicks it, I got his nose. Putin, you go for whatever else.
Yeah, I'm only good for letting them outside. That's literally the only thing they like me for. When she gets home, she gives them wet food every night. I mean, these cats are just. Putin, I did it like once a week. It was like, hey, I'm getting steak too, bud. So use yours. Like we're both celebrate right now. This cat's getting fucking steak every night. I'm eating chicken thighs.
That's funny.
Yeah. All right. Way to turn the happy moment horrible, fellas.
All right, guys. Thanks for the show tonight. I'm going to hang up and listen, but interesting as always, and I appreciate you guys doing it. And put up, Corey, put up your Venmo, and I'll chip in for some StreamYard. I didn't realize. I just signed in for the first time. I didn't realize how expensive all this stuff is, man. You got set up.
Yes. Well, we're thinking, and I appreciate that. I don't have a Venmo. Maybe I'll have to get that set up at some point.
What do you have? Just put up what you got.
Yeah, I was scrolling on the bottom here. I think it's Fantom Society.
Oh, gotcha.
There it is. Yep. Fantom Society. Thank you, Lobo. We appreciate that, man.
It's always entertaining on Wednesdays, and I tune into your shows. So thanks for doing it, and we'll be in touch, guys. And go Lobos.
Have a good one, buddy. Lobo Fish hopping in for the show. We got some interesting information out of him.
Yep.
I was like, should we put him on blast for Twitter for the federal funding of the school? And I thought, nah, we don't want to make Lobo's life miserable. All 11 of you can do that. I'm not gonna do work for that. Hello, when Lobo comes on. I was gonna see if there was anything else. Oh, update on Granny Finders.
Hey, buddy. What's going on? What's your name, man?
We already seen this one. God damn it. I downloaded the wrong one.
No.
We're doing a series of them, dude. Yeah.
Love Granny Finders.
Yes. Let's see here. Did I have anything else?
I'm trying to think. It seems like
I got this one called German Snitches. I feel like I had a. Go ahead.
No, I was supposed to say I had I saw an interesting clip about the wildfires in South Carolina that I sent to you on X, because I mean that was didn't seem like that really got celebrated. I did find I don't know if it's real or not, but I'm going to show it because I found it hilarious. So I think it's worth us taking a look at. Oh God. Yeah.
What is this? What do we got
Celebrating African Town Plaza.
A powerful
So-
new addition to Seattle's Central District?
Yeah. So
Well, I mean, that's
they named it African Plaza in here, and it's just Seattle's newest housing projects. Too many whites moved in. Got to fix it. It's just I just saw this and I was just like, oh man, in Seattle, of course. And I got a buddy that lives out there, so I need to reach out to him and see
if you can get down there.
Yeah, if he can get down here and put eyes on it, because
Just have him pretend he's South African.
oh yeah, true. Yeah.
Let's be like, what are you talking about? I'm South African. Elon Musk, horrible human being. That's actually sort of funny. African Town. Yeah, no, I like that.
Town.
Yeah, I found this clip. If we're let's see here. Did I get rid of it now? Oh God damn it! Where did I put it? It was your specialty right here. It was here. Give me a second.
Oh, this has got to be great.
God damn it! This was just for you too. It's a heartbreaker. You're a very lucky man right now.
No, I know you'll find it.
Oh, there it is.
There we go.
All right. All right. Well, this, I mean, listen, I know I'm coming off a little facetious here, but I honestly would love to have your take. And I think this happened, was this a school like a block away from you or something like that?
Did you ever think you'd be going to college here?
No, never. Never in a million years.
In some ways, Alicia Ortiz is living an American dream. The 19-year-old began her freshman year at the University of Connecticut in Hartford this fall. She's excited to study public policy, the culmination of hard work after moving north from Puerto Rico as a child. Do you remember when you first came to Connecticut?
Yes, I remember I was very nervous, but I know it was gonna be better opportunities for me to learn.
But Alicia says those opportunities never came to fruition. Even today, could you read this, or would it take you a long time?
It's impossible. I just see his words everywhere.
Alicia graduated from the Hartford public school system last year, but she says today she is illiterate. She still doesn't know how to read or write. When she was in early education,
they would just either tell me to stay in a corner and sleep, or just draw pictures, flowers for them.
And when she was in high school, she relied on speech-to-text programs and other apps to read and write essays. So if you had an assignment where you had to write something, you'd open up a document like this and then do what?
I would go here to use the text-to-speech.
It says dictate.
Dictate, yep. I love pizza.
This is how you would do your assignments.
And then
Cats of the
When's the last time you've been to the DMV?
It's been a hot minute. I do need to go.
I went to the one in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I saw at least 10 people doing just this.
Really?
For their test.
World VAK sporting a twin prop airplane.
If you had to read something, that's how you do it. She said her mother, who does not speak English well, tried to get answers.
She advocated so much. She went to the school. The principal will promise her that they will do better. And sometimes there will be people from the district or the directors promising her that they will do better.
Now, Alicia is suing the Hartford Board of Education and the city for negligence.
First American thing she's done so far.
The suit alleges the school district documented and acknowledged Alicia's learning challenges through multiple grades, but because they were not adequately addressed, she continued to struggle academically and began exhibiting maladaptive behaviors in the classroom.
Sometimes I will feel proud to be the bad child because at least I was something to them, and I wasn't invisible.
While the city of Hartford and an educator named in the suit declined to comment when contacted by CNN, in a statement, Hartford Public Schools wrote, "While Hartford Public Schools cannot comment on pending litigation, we remain deeply committed to meeting the full range of needs our students bring with them when they enter our schools and helping them reach their full potential."
What's the dog, man?
Dr. Jesse Turner is the leader of the Literacy Center at Central Connecticut State University. He feels the main issue here is inequality in public education.
America should be asking a question.
All right, this guy, I'm not going to listen to him.
Listen, how the fuck did she get into UConn if she can't even read or write?
That's what I mean.
What are we doing?
Well, and here's the thing, dude. Like, what is the school system doing too? All the way through college? I mean, it's that messed up that it goes all the way through college.
I think I don't know about like public school, but in college, I'm sure they looked at, there was some kind of kickback or some kind of something to unfortunately take advantage of her nationality and all that. So, I mean, that makes a little bit more sense, but like, I mean, you stumbled upon the article in Tennessee, I mean, that's like.
That's her.
Oh, that's her?
That's her.
Oh, because she said in Hartford, which is in
that's where she went to college. Oh, Hartford well, maybe now I'm curious.
Yeah.
Is that another one? Because I looked for a video on that, and I guess I thought she just ended up in Hartford, Connecticut, but I didn't make the connection.
No, I mean, you might be right, but what I read and everything, it was a
Connecticut, huh?
Yeah, or I mean, that it looks like that's a separate thing also, but the one in Tennessee, yeah.
That's why I started down that. I thought that was the Tennessee one. Man, that's embarrassing.
Well, the one in Tennessee, I don't think they've named. I don't think the person has come. And whatnot about that. And I reached out to a couple people that are on the school boards and stuff, not in that district and whatnot, but just to see if what's the word on the street about this, because it's wild. Because in Clarksville, I wouldn't think that would kind of would go. It seemed because Clarksville, they have a lot of those like private schools, and they've got a lot of those supposedly higher education schools and whatnot, but I don't know. I mean, that's pretty interesting.
I don't think the school has a leg to stand on either because they passed her, right? So, yeah. I mean, it's not on the parents. Like the parents, I mean, sure, the parents did but it was in a school system that was saying that she was passing grades. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, keep her back a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that'll motivate her to maybe learn.
Yeah. That's interesting. It's very interesting how all that plays out. And I want to know how her lawsuit's going to go too.
Yeah, we'll have to pay attention to that then.
Yeah.
I'm sure if it's in Connecticut, it'll go well.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, do it. Every person that, was one of these kids that came across, put into our school system, and then given passing grades. You remember when we got into the workforce, it was a big deal to have a high school diploma.
Oh yeah, you had to. A lot of places.
Deal. And you're just giving them out now for free.
Yeah, because they're almost a burden to you. You're like, oh, let's hurry up and usher this kid through and get him out.
Yeah. Yeah, or it makes you look bad. You don't want to establish the fact that kids aren't actually learning anything from your classes. So you just want to sneak. That's what they did for COVID.
Yeah.
They just said, hey, pass everybody. Congratulations. Well done.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see here. Friday night, we have Hanassa joining the show. She is the whistleblower on Josh Shapiro, the Governor Josh Shapiro. And also CPS, all tied together there. So remember we talked about that lady that got stabbed 20 times?
Yeah.
Yeah, she went to high school with all of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like she's in the same church as all of them.
Oh man,
Was.
Yeah.
So she said she'd come on Friday night and talk about it, and we'll give her the floor. And she's got some documents too, linking an actual timeline for what happened there. So she's, big family. She's got a big family. So sometimes these plans don't work out. So I don't want to get people's hopes up, but I did get confirmation today. So that's what we're planning on Friday night at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock Central Time.
8 o'clock Central Time.
Yes. Yep. All right, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And don't forget to subscribe. And if you found value in the show, I mean, come on. Where are you going to find some of the... we made some crazy links today, May. I mean, we really did.
I felt like a kid in a coloring book with the dots. I mean, we completed the puzzle.
You watched that live.
Yeah.
You watched that live, happen live on TV. And that's what happens, when we're able to communicate with each other like this and we're all firing. So, if you found value in that, we appreciate your help, because this StreamYard thing got spendy. So, and we want to be able to keep doing it. We might, there's some other cheaper options we might have to look into too. But one thing Fantom Facts will always be there. All right, guys, have a good night.
Like the pine trees lining the winding road, I got a name, I got a name. Like the singing bird and the croaking toad, I got a name, I got a name. And I carry it with me like my daddy did, but I'm living the dream that he kept hid. Moving me down the highway, rolling me down the highway, moving ahead so life won't pass me by. Like a north wind whistling down the sky, I got a song, I got a song. Like the whippoorwill and the babies cry, I got a song, I got a song. And I can't